Imagine two factories, one in Guangdong, China, built in 2003, 20,000 workers, dormitories, cafeterias, a sea of identical blue uniforms. Now imagine another factory, Tamil Nadu, India, built in 2024. Same machines, same global brand, but outside the gate a tea stall with QR payments, a union poster, and 3 political parties arguing over a loudspeaker. Same capitalism, different civilization. That difference is the entire story. The great replacement nobody announced. For 30 years, China was not just a country, it was a verb. To manufacture cheaply meant to China-fy something. But numbers age faster than slogans. China's median age is approaching 40. India's is still under 30. Factories do not migrate because of friendship. They migrate because payrolls get heavy. A Chinese assembly worker in 2005 earned about $150 a month. Today, it is closer to $900. The math stopped working, so the machines began packing their bags, not with speeches, with spreadsheets. Apple shifted part of iPhone production to India. Foxconn announced campuses bigger than small towns. Samsung exports billions from Noida. Executives use a polite phrase, China plus one. Translated, do not keep all eggs under one communist roof. Demography is a loan with interest. Everyone calls India a demographic dividend, but a dividend can turn into debt. 12 million young Indians join the job market every year. That is Australia appearing annually and asking for work. If factories absorb them, miracle. If not, unrest wearing sneakers. China industrialized before its youth bulge peaked. India is racing the clock after the starting gun. This is not destiny. This is a deadline. The digital backdoor to industrialization. China built roads, then apps. India built apps, then roads. UPI payments move more transactions than the entire American card system. A vegetable seller in Patna accepts digital money faster than a Berlin cafe. India stack. Digital identity, payments, data lockers, is a silent superpower. But every superpower has a shadow. 1 billion people connected to one digital spine. Is convenience in the morning, and surveillance architecture at night. China used technology to control society. India might accidentally do the same while ordering groceries. Factories are political animals. Manufacturing is not just machines. It is discipline, land, electricity, and boredom. China solved boredom with authoritarian efficiency. India negotiates boredom through democracy. Land acquisition in India can take 10 years. In China, it took 1 signature. An Indian state changes policy after elections. A Chinese province changes rivers if needed. This makes India slower, but also safer from catastrophic central mistakes. Tortoise versus rocket. The race is still undecided. The oligarch problem. China created state billionaires. India created private ones. Ports, airports, power, telecom. A small circle of surnames. When growth depends on a few conglomerates, competition becomes choreography. The risk is not capitalism. The risk is capitalism without enough capitalists. Too few winners can suffocate a nation as badly as socialism. Geopolitics. The double game. The world wants India to be the anti-China. India wants to be India. It buys Russian oil with one hand and signs American defense deals with the other. Western capitals call this strategy. Some call it opportunism. Delhi calls it survival. Unlike China, India has no desire to export ideology. Only software, medicines, and increasingly missiles. The new China will not be red. It will be complicated. Inequality at scale. Drive from Gurugram to Old Delhi. Glass towers melt into open drains within 20 minutes. China became rich before it became unequal. India is becoming unequal before becoming rich. A coder earns Silicon Valley salary in Bengaluru, while a farmer nearby checks crop prices on a borrowed phone. If consumption does not rise with production, factories will build goods for ghosts. Climate, the invisible prime minister. China polluted first and cleaned later. India is trying to grow and stay alive at the same time. Heat waves touching 50 degrees, cities running out of water, monsoons behaving like drunk guests. The next Chinese factory in India may need more air conditioners than workers. Growth in the 21st century must negotiate with physics, not just finance. Why the world is still betting on India? Because there is no other table left. Vietnam is disciplined but small. Mexico is close to America but not to Europe. Africa has youth but not infrastructure. India has population scale, English language, a chaotic but real democracy, internal market the size of a continent, engineers produced like rice. Investors do not marry countries. They date probabilities. India currently has the best profile on the app. India will not become China. And that is the point. China was a factory with a nation attached. India is a nation attempting to host factories. China moved with the silence of concrete. India moves with the noise of elections, courts, protests, memes. This will be slower, messier, sometimes embarrassing. But resilience often looks like disorder from a distance. The two futures. Future 1. Industrial corridors succeed. Youth find work. Exports explode. Rupee strengthens. India becomes the default workshop of the democratic world. Future 2. Jobs lag behind expectations. Cities choke. Politics turns inward. Demography becomes dynamite. Both futures are currently living in the same train. The shadow economy beneath the skyscrapers. Beneath India's glass towers lives another country. It wakes before sunrise, rides overcrowded buses, and works without contracts. This is the informal economy, nearly 80 to 85% of the workforce, depending on how you count. Street vendors, delivery riders, construction labourers, domestic workers, they build the visible India while remaining statistically invisible. Economists like to say informality is flexible. That is a polite word for fragile. No health insurance, no pension, no job security. A single illness can erase a decade of savings. During the pandemic, this became brutally clear. When the lockdowns were announced, millions simply started walking home hundreds of kilometers because cities offered them no safety net. A superpower cannot run on day labor forever. China formalized its workforce before it got rich. India is trying to get rich before it formalizes. That sequence matters. Education. Degree factories vs skill factories. Every year, India produces more engineers than Europe and the United States combined. On paper, this sounds like a miracle. In reality, it looks like a traffic jam of resumes. Companies complain that graduates know theory but not tools. They can define an algorithm but cannot deploy one. They can recite thermodynamics but cannot maintain an air conditioner. China built vocational schools beside industrial zones. India built colleges beside coaching centers. The result is an army trained for exams rather than factories. This is why recruiters at global firms quietly run their own boot camps. They re-educate the educated. Demography only becomes destiny when skills meet opportunity. Otherwise, it becomes frustration with certificates, water, power, and the limits of growth. Economic models assume something dangerous, that nature will behave. India's growth depends on two invisible inputs, water and electricity. Both are under stress. Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, has faced summers where apartment taps ran dry and tech campuses imported water by tanker trucks. Power demand rises faster than grids can expand. Factories install diesel generators as backup to their backup. Heat waves shorten working hours. Monsoons arrive late or too violently. Rivers that fed agriculture for centuries now carry industrial foam. No spreadsheet fully prices this risk. A country can industrialize with bad roads. It cannot industrialize without water. The verdict, no one likes. So, is India the new China? Yes, in ambition. Yes, in scale. Yes, in the hunger of a generation that has tasted possibility. But no in method. No in discipline. No in the political geometry. China was a sprint on a straight highway built by decree. India is a marathon through a crowded bazaar. Democracy slows construction but protects dissent. Federalism confuses investors but prevents absolute failure. Chaos hurts efficiency but preserves flexibility. This makes India harder to predict and harder to break. The future therefore splits into two timelines. In the first, factories multiply, schools reform, cities learn to breathe, and the demographic dividend finally cashes out. India becomes not the next China, but the first India, a loud, uneven, democratic industrial power. In the second, jobs lag behind population, climate punishes the poor, inequality hardens into anger, and politics chooses emotion over economics. The dividend becomes a debt. Both futures are possible in the same decade. The world wants a simple answer. Markets want a straight line. History rarely provides either. India is not a story with a climax. It is an argument with 1 billion participants. And the verdict is still being written. One election, one monsoon, one factory shift at a time.